Yeah, I mean, I've gotten Mythic before. I've done all of the different tournaments and stuff. Being competitive is fine. Casual is where it's at, though. Casual is where it's fun, and like you just have a bunch of pile of cards, and that's the love of Magic that I have.
We have first up an engineer, everything enthusiast, full-time content creator, Amy the Amazonian.
Hey.
We can get louder than that. Come on, guys, it's Saturday. Too many games. Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Hello, happy Saturday morning, everybody. I know it's afternoon, but it's Saturday morning to me. How you doing?
All right, for our second panelist, we have, you may know her as a Magic content creator, award-winning cosplayer, and works in the video game industry, Kat, a.k.a. LadyLavinias. No matter how many times I'm gonna say that, I will say it every different way you can ever imagine.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Say it one time super clear for me.
LadyLavinias.
Lavinias, there you go. All right. I'm very excited to be here with you ladies, and we're gonna have such a great panel on discussing women in Magic and Magic in general. Towards the end, we will have a Q&A session, so as you listen on to this, please get your questions rolling in your brains. I'm gonna ask the very first simple question. You guys can tell me which one you prefer to go first, but how did you get started? Why did you get started?
Do you want to start your intro?
And how old you are?
Hi, I got started. I was a Magic player, and I had a friend, Loading and Ready to Run, if you know them.
They're pretty cool guys.
Very cool guys. And they said, hey, you know, you can just start streaming. I was kind of in a flux between work, and they were like, this is an easy setup. We can teach you how to do so. And I just went for it, and it went very well. And I started focusing on Magic the Gathering Arena since then. And then it's evolved into cosplay and different content creation and commentating. So it's been a whole trip, and it's literally changed the path of my life.
And when did you say you started? What age? When did you?
I started streaming in 2019, and I started playing in 2011.
Wow.
It's been so long.
I know. don't say that.
Listen, I'm on the opposite path. I was actually a streamer for a long time before I learned how to play Magic. Sort of, technically. The first time I ever played Magic was in 2003 when my brother Ed, you might know him as Demonic Tutors, taught me how to play at my grandparents' house. It completely left my brain, and I hated it because it was just doing math, and I was 12, and I don't want that. Then later, in college, another dude in my dorm, Anders, taught me how to play, and it snapped. It was great, it was fun, but I've been streaming since, I think it was 2005. There's a website called Stickam. It doesn't exist anymore. It was one of the original streaming sites, predates Justin TV and all that, and I was streaming on there as a hobby until the website stopped existing. Now I'm on Twitch, I'm having a good time, and I'm playing at Magic full time.
Love that. And so you're both with the streaming world. How do you feel? How did you just decide to, I'm gonna go ahead and stream? I'm gonna go in and dive straight into the online world. I know you said that it was very, something that was offered to you and was included, but what did you think about going into it? What was your first instincts about taking this to a whole nother level in front of an audience?
Oh, I was terrified, honestly. I had only been playing paper Magic, you know, with my friends. I didn't have the experience of interacting with an audience, and especially I thought, you know, I would do it as a side hobby, something that I could just slowly get into, and then within a month, I think it was like a week, I had affiliate, and it just started going since then, and it was only a few months into streaming before it was actually, I was able to become my full-time content creation job. So I got very, very lucky. I don't know if I was in the right place at the right time, but I had to learn very quickly. And I think it just clicked for me. I think this is what I was always meant to be.
Nice. And same question for you, Amy. So how did you feel about going right into the streaming world from playing with the cards? And
I mentioned before, for me it was the opposite. I've been streaming since I was like 14 or so. So for me, like, talking into the camera and making friends online. That's something that I loved doing anyway. And since I had learned how to play Magic in college, being able to play Magic on my computer through Arena as opposed to like MTGO or Duels, which aren't great platforms, really enabled me to like do two things I like to do at the same time. So I just kind of merged my two hobbies of, oh, I'm playing Magic, oh, I'm streaming. Now I'm doing both of them at the same time. This is really fun. And then I similarly was able to grow my stream. At some point, I got Wizards of the Coast to pay attention to me, to be like, hi, I like your game. I like your cat tokens. Please help me.
So good.
Awesome. So one of the biggest questions is, why don't more women play Magic? I have noticed from before COVID, there really wasn't too many women playing, and then after, I've noticed a lot more. So what do you think, why don't you think they play more? What is that reasoning?
Nobody teaches them how. This is a like just social network of a dude in my dorm taught me how to play because we were both hanging out in the common room together. If I didn't hang out in the common room and he wasn't willing to teach me, I probably wouldn't have learned. You have to teach your friends. So like now that I know how to play Magic, I tell new people how to play Magic. I'll take them with me to new player events because that's how you make the game more friendly. You got to spread it to the people you want to see. But because it's such a social game, it's Magic the Gathering, without that, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, Magic is a very complicated game, to be honest. It has so many elements. There's a crazy long history of it. When I first started streaming, I remember there was not a lot of Magic women content creators as well. In fact, one of my very first times was Gabby Spartz and Amy.
I was literally about to say Gabby was like the OG for me.
The two people that supported me in the very beginning, and it's kind of surreal that I'm on stage with Amy, who directly helped me at the very start.
We're gamers.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So I think that more and more people are getting into it, and then they're impacting their communities. I was just actually talking, I was at Magic Fest Tacoma last weekend, and there was actually a line at the women's restroom, which I've never seen at a gaming convention for just Magic before.
That's something special.
So I was like, it's definitely developing. You could see more and more women in the community, and that just brings me so much hope for the future.
More lines at the women's restroom. So I worked in an engineering building for a very long time, and one of the nicest but also kind of worst things about it is you always had all 5 stalls to yourself, which means I could set up an office in there if I wanted some real privacy. It's way better than the cubicles, but it was also kind of sad because it's like, oh, there's no women here.
I have no one to share a hair tie with, and all of a sudden get invited to their wedding next year.
Oh no, there are plenty of dudes with long hair in engineering.
That's also true.
Very true. You are not wrong there. You gotta have extra hair ties there. So I realized after COVID, what I was saying earlier, a lot more women have been joining the community, and people of all genders or that don't go into any gender conformity or anything like that, just every type of human you can exist of is now feeling more welcomed into the community. And I know that there are also cards that are coming out. I believe there's a trans card, that a character that's trans, I believe, that came out.
We have a couple,
yeah, which is absolutely phenomenal. There's more and more inclusivity, just of all different diversity happening. But why do you think that is happening? Why do you think all of a sudden, the past couple of years, this has boomed?
I think it's the support, honestly. I think that the community is really developed. They're very outgoing and outspoken, which I love. But Wizards has to take notice of, as the community talks and they ask for things. And Wizards has just been answering recently after hearing so many people outspoken on Twitter and social media.
You also have some major content creators. I think Tulare Community College, the professor, he tries to invite a very diverse group of guests. He tries to make sure it's not all white dudes who are guesting on the show, and just having that representation shows that the game is friendlier to people from different backgrounds. And this is the same thing goes for Command Zone. They try to get a pretty broad set of people to be guests, and having these million-plus follower channels that garner all of those views and show off those different people makes a pretty big difference. I would also say with relation to COVID, you had a lot of people who started playing Magic online versus in person. So you don't have the unfriendliness of going to certain game stores, and you know which stores I'm talking about, where a young woman will show up oftentimes, or a person who's queer or just otherwise maybe marginalized and just get treated like garbage. Whereas if you're playing on your computer, everybody's treated the same amount of garbage. Everybody's going to rope you and go you and everything else because you're all the same.
Love that, yes. And representation does matter, absolutely. So when you are seeing these tournaments and you are seeing more and more women, it does feel more inviting, or other people that aren't just that cliche of what it used to be as a white male.
Yes, and like Wizards of the Coast has done efforts to also change the representation on the cards, try to get you mentioned before, they've got some non-binary and trans characters now that they're putting on cards. I believe Nico is coming back in another set, so that's nice to see. Yeah, and we've also even seen more like disability rep on cards. Winota is a pretty well-known card. She gets played in CEDH, and she has one arm, and I'd love to see more of that.
Isn't there, I believe, also cards with characters with autism and disabilities of that
Definitely
sort?
harder to tell on the cards, but in the stories,
In the
sometimes
story,
it's
I
like,
believe I read into some of them because I was looking into the diversity, and it blew my mind of all the things that are coming out and that are happening. And I was like, this is such a strong game, not just for the activity of playing, but for perspective and having fun and feeling that inclusion, which is fantastic. Do you have any experiences where a good experience or a bad experience being the gender that you are from the past, and then also currently, because times have changed so much?
Yeah, I mean, so as a woman who has played Magic for a very long time, I frequently play into pre-releases and drafts and stuff at my local game stores and various game stores. And over the course of, oh my goodness, 10 years of playing, the amount of times that I've been paired with either another girl or the child of whatever is in the room, they say that it shuffles up, but I'm like, I'm not sure that this is the same thing. So a lot of times, yeah, they definitely are pairing me. But so that's something that I've had to deal with, where I'm either not taken seriously, especially, no matter, even if I get first, second, third in a tournament, it still has been a problem over the course of my playing Magic.
Are you still seeing that as you are in today's world, going into that as well?
I think it changes. It has been slowly changing. Again, there has been a lot more different people, women and people of different identities at these events and stuff. So I think it's become a little bit more relaxed and more, accepted just to play Magic. That's what we want to do at the end of the day. But I think it has changed a bit, and I'm really hopeful for the future.
That's right. And same question for you, Amy.
For me, I would say that it occasionally pops up, but I usually have too bad of a memory span to really pay attention to it. I also have a very complex relationship to gender, so for me it's like, oh yeah, you're treating me in a way that's in alignment with how I'm dressed. I kind of get that. That's cool. But it's also not that important to me personally, so it's a little bit less of an impact. I did have, however, at the first ever Pro Tour that I played in, one of my opponents did ask me if I was there with my boyfriend. In the Pro Tour. I don't understand what people are thinking. It's like, no, he doesn't want to go to a Magic tournament. He doesn't even know how to play Magic.
When you first started playing Magic, though, did you see any difference from how you were treated then versus now?
No, because I learned how to play in a very kind of private space. The places that I played were in my college with college friends. It was actually mostly women I was playing with. It was Anders and the 3 girls he taught how to play Magic. By the way, that's how you get all the women. Teach them how to play Magic. And then at my job at Amazon, which was a bunch of drunk furries, which is honestly the best people to play Magic with, because they're just like, yeah, we don't really know what's going on. We're just here for the silly little guys on the cards. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
That's awesome. You were saying about when the Pro Tour, I'm seeing more and more women actually be coming into the top 8, which is fantastic. How do we encourage more women to keep playing and getting better and keep reaching for the top 8?
I think one of the big things is the inclusive teams that are popping up. Things like Birds of Paradise is also a group. that has been more friendly to marginalized genders. And really, like, testing teams are one of the biggest parts of competitive Magic that's very hard to get into if you do not have an established one. Most women who get into that highly competitive position, they're lone wolves. They're not in testing teams, and they don't really have those relationships, which gets them into the major tournaments, but it doesn't get them to the top of the major tournaments. As these bigger teams show up, I think like Voice of All is another one of them, you end up with more competitive players that aren't men, which I like to see.
Yeah, and I think that more and more people being in it, provides a bit of competition. So I think that encourages growth as we kind of just play off of each other and encourages us to get to the top.
Oh, it was Sanctum of All. I think that's the group.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Do you guys see a difference in casual playing versus competitive playing? Because I have seen on Reddit and tons of other places that women are just casual players. They are not meant for being competitive. And I am one of the most competitive people, and I'm very aggressive. So I'm like wanting to strangle all of them, but what do you guys feel about that?
Well, here's what I feel about that. Your first mistake was going on Reddit.
Very true.
And your second one is there's going to be competitive people all over the place. But I think that women in general are discouraged from a lot of competitive behavior. In esports especially, it's harder to break into that. But there's definitely still competitive women out there, and they're going to kick my ass, so good on them.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten Mythic before. I've done all of the different tournaments and stuff. Being competitive is fine. Casual is where it's at, though. Casual is where it's fun, and you just have a bunch of pile of cards, and that's the love of Magic that I have. Like, I love Magic I can do the competitive side, but the casual is actually where I enjoy the game.
It's the most fun way to play, and also you can do anything you want in it, so it's even better.
I think one of my personal questions is, I have a deck of Magic cards. I have been staring at them. They're very beautiful and pretty. And then when I want to go ask someone, teach me how to play, I get really scared because I go to the local game store and it's nothing but guys. Or I look online and I'm very confused because I'm like, I still don't understand. I need a person to try and teach me. Where do I go? How do I go about that? Because also YouTube goes way too fast for my brain to understand.
You could come over to my place. And
I'll just, party at Amy's, everyone!
Yeah! I mean, it's honestly just having somebody walk you through it, especially if you're not open to playing online. I think that Magic the Gathering Arena has a very good tutorial system, and that's a great way to learn the basic mechanics, and things get more and more and more advanced. If you can find somebody who is playing the same type of deck or a lot of the same cards as the one that you built, that's also a great way of saying oh my god, I didn't realize you could do this and this with these two cards to do this on this turn. Because you might not know because there's 10,000 rules. How long is the rules document now? Is it 400 pages?
So long.
Yeah, it's very, very, very long.
Yeah, it is essentially a book, a straight up book of rules. I agree with Amy. The best place that I recommend is on Arena. I think the tutorial system is actually really good for new players. I'm also very biased. If you don't know this, I help run the Arena YouTube channel, the official Magic the Gathering Arena YouTube channel now, where there's a bunch of really good tutorial systems or tutorial videos to help you. One of them, shout out, is Amy the Amazonian does a lovely walkthrough of the color challenge. Just in case you couldn't understand it or if there's problems, you can literally watch her do it the entire time and then follow her step by step.
And I'm doing it kindergarten style, where it's I'm talking about everything. Yes, you have to tap the lands to make the mana.
Yeah.
I understand you might already know that, but you might not.
How welcoming would you say for someone that's never played Magic before to walk into a Magic convention and just go up to a table? What would you say to a person that wants to go to the convention but is nervous? Where do they go? What is their first step?
I feel like there's got to be new player events, specific events that are designed for a more entry level. Sometimes that can be something that's like literal starter decks. They used to make these 30 card decks that you would just play, and they had very basic themes, and it was a really good way to onboard a new player. Or it could even be a sealed. Sometimes doing a pre-release can be a good new player experience. However, a lot of the recent sets have been extremely complicated, and I would never, ever tell a new player to do that. No.
No. Although we do have, again, a lot of lovely tutorial things, that's a bit of a jump that I would, you want to start with a color. I'm not even gonna dual color, forget triple. We need very basic, like here's mono green. We're gonna teach you exactly how to do it. And sealed is I would say a more seasoned.
Yes, and Wizards of the Coast has also published a couple pre-con decks that are designed for starting players. I think Carter was one of them, and these are more simple decks that are still powerful that you don't need to know as many rules in order to pilot. That is a great product. They need to make more of those, and it's the sort of thing that I would actually love to see more events focused around, because you also need the other players to talk through things. If you're ever watching YouTube channels, you notice that a lot of the players will go step by step. They'll say, oh yeah, and I cast this that does that, and it makes this happen on this. If you're playing in person, some players are so ingrained into the shortcutting that they're just like silent as they just move the cards around on the table, and they like push a card forward, meaning it's attacking. And it's like, no, you need to say you're attacking with this card that is 5 power. This is a new player. You have to talk through things.
Well, speaking of different platforms that you're playing, what are the pros and cons of playing online versus with people at a game store or your friends? What are those pros? What are those cons? Because online, it's a little bit harder. I don't like having my mic on or anything like that when I'm playing games, but that interaction, that could be a pro, that could be a con. What's your opinion?
It's lonely online. That's the con. The pro is everything else. You just press the button and you're in a match, and you can make a deck, and there's a big environment, and you don't have to buy the cards and get them shipped and everything else. It's lonely. That's the big thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Arena, I've been very spoiled because it does all the math for me. You know how it is. And in physical paper Magic, where you have to, figure out if this swing is going to kill you in the crackback. But Arena does it all for you. It does all the math. It knows all of the rules. And so if I mess up the rules, it will tell me. It'll explain it a little easier. So I think that it's easier for newer players, but you also don't get the interacting with another person. So if you mess something up, you can't really go backwards.
Yeah, there's
and
no
say, hey,
undo.
no ticky backsies.
There's also no communication with the other person. So it's like, hey, could you just wait 1 minute while I do this cool thing? Versus, why is this person wasting my time? Just end the game.
It's true. Absolutely.
So usually when you guys are streaming, you're always playing online though. Do you find any difficulties with that, with streaming and playing the online game versus being able to go somewhere else? Because I know there are streamers that do go to the live games and the live tournaments to play and stream. If you had to pick, if you were able to have a plethora of either one, which one would you choose?
I like playing online just because of the simplicity of it. You don't need to haul around a camera setup and everything else. I can tell you that those camera setups you see on Commander channels are insanely complex. They have trouble with heating and cooling and data
Lighting.
storage and the microphones. Everything gets crazy complicated when you introduce more than one person and a computer screen. So it's way, way easier. And I would prefer to do that kind of streaming, even if it's going to be a little less interesting because it's just one person.
And same thing for you.
Yeah, I preferred online when I was a streamer, mostly because, if you're playing with a bunch of people, you're usually interacting with them, so the chat is watching you guys interact, versus if I'm playing digitally online, I'm interacting exactly with my audience. So my chat, I get to talk to them, interact with them while I, figure out the moves of what I'm gonna do. And I like that direct feedback and that kind of direct line to the community.
And you both have been streaming for so long. How has that experience been, especially being a female or a woman, however you like to identify yourself as? What is your experience going through that process? Not just playing Magic, but also the streaming aspect alone.
There's a lot of weirdos out there and a lot of creeps. And if you are a starting streamer, if you're somebody who does not have a large audience, even if you do, you are going to be attracting people who are going to try to take advantage of you, especially if you're a woman. And it's going to be bad and scary, and you'll have to put up with it. And this is not like a you may have to, this is a you will have to. It is an unfortunate universal constant of it, and it is terrible, and it scares a lot of women out of the field of gaming and streaming. And I would like it to change, but the only way it's going to change is if people, especially men who are in powerful positions in the streaming community, in the gaming community, stop being creeps. Like, just stop, calm down a little. You can be like a fun, playful creep. You can be a harmless creep. Don't get in my DMs and like try to buy sexual favors from me, please. And believe it or not, the foot guys are the nicest ones. That's not a joke. They're the only ones who are polite. They're like,
polite.
hi, can I purchase your fit pictures?
Yeah,
And I'm like, no,
I'm
thank
sorry
you.
to bother you. Like,
Yeah.
is this okay?
And then they back off, and it's like, thank you, foot guy. You have so much more respect for me than everyone else.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I exactly that. And you know, it is nice eventually, especially when you're smaller, you don't, know what to do. As you get larger and larger, you're gonna attract a lot more attention, a lot more different types of people. I was very fortunate to have a really good mod squad of people that were able to handle problems for me. Amy is a warrior here. There's a reason that she has Amazonian warrior. I've seen her handle people directly in the chat. Instead of just ignoring that or like having the mods handle it, she is ready to fight. She is feisty. She will go and call you out if you're gonna be creepy and stuff in chat. So completely different ways of dealing with things, but I really respect her.
Silently ban people, or you can be
Yeah.
like, you're welcome here. Just correct your behavior a little bit, please. Please?
Do you have any specific incidents that you would like to share? Just being able to educate purposes of saying, this is what happened to me and this is how I problem solved it.
My memory is not that good.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've had a variety of instances, but usually it's like I'll have when I was a streamer, my head moderator, just let them know that here's the rules. There's a reason that we have the boundaries that we do in our chat. We have like a set of rules, and if they are not following it, if they're making other people uncomfortable, maybe they don't even realize they're doing it. So the first thing before anything, I usually have my moderator reach out to them and be like, hey, I don't even know if you're intending this, but this breaks X, Y, and Z rule for this reason. Please refrain from doing it in the future. And most people have been okay, as
Which
long
is
as
great, yeah.
they do that. And then that makes me so that I can continue streaming without a hitch. Like, I don't have to pause all of the things I'm doing, especially because Magic is a very complicated game. My mind is going a million miles a minute to try to like win the game or to do a weird combo. So it lets me stay in the game and not have to worry with another problem that might not even be a problem. So
Also, if you call somebody out, it goes two ways, actually three ways. The first one is they're just quiet, and that's actually like kind of a yellow flag of like, they feel called out, but they're not willing to understand and acknowledge their behavior. Then there's they change their behavior. That's great. It's like, hey, yeah, like maybe don't use that kind of term. Like if they're using a slur that's like not so good, please don't do that. And then there's the people where you call them out, and you can do this as politely and gently as you can, and they will rebel.
Oh,
they're like,
they're mad. They're like, how dare you?
How dare you judge my behavior? And it's like, what? I just asked you not to say. It's like, no, you have insulted me. No, I just asked you, please don't do that. And then it's like, oh,
Like,
that's the
I'm
person you gotta
leaving.
ban.
How dare you? I'm never coming back here. You're terrible.
Bye, good
Okay,
riddance.
see you later. I'm sorry.
No.
Have a good day.
Well, those are all just one individual. There have been instances where certain streamers are sending raids.
The hate raids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are fun. What's your opinion on those and how to deal with those?
I put chat in emote only mode, and then everybody puts themselves in gay baby jail, which
Love
is, I have a little
that.
jail emote of like me holding the bars of the jail cell. It's where I also need to go sometimes. I need to go to jail for my crimes. But yeah, it's just like, hey, guess what? Twitch has actually added really good, like, new mechanics to help us not deal with that. There was a period of time where people were doing automated hate raids. Twitch actually did crack down on those, which, thank you, Twitch. You're not always a great platform, but sometimes you do things really right.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect answer. That's what I would do too. It was really great because I would say, I would like you guys to spam as many emotes as possible, and it would just drown out anyone. They would try to like fight back, and it would just like, it would be my chat essentially holding down the fort for me. So they're the real MVPs.
I know we can say as much as possible until we are blue in the face, can the men just stop being creepy? Over and over and over. But we can't force that. We can't force their hand to do that. Not saying all men, not saying all people.
It's just a couple bad eggs.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. How, as women, how do we put that power in our hands to stop that? How do we encourage platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, that's hopeless. But all those other platforms, how can we help move that along to be more benefit and a safer place?
I mean, just supporting other women, right? I frequently go into other women's streams, and I'm like, just sending supportive messages through social media. There is various teams that are formed. I am working now in the video game industry, so I am in a very fortunate position to be able to support other, as many a rainbow of different personalities in the community. I'm able to help not only the content creator, but also like the communities themselves by producing content that would be supportive of nurturing women and putting them in the spotlight and encouraging them to create more content themselves. So I think it's just being able to be very supportive with each other.
I think you fund education in your local community, but that's, I'm talking ground level here.
That would be fantastic.
Makes a difference. It does.
What? Knowledge is power? That's crazy. Do you guys see, so you're in the gaming industry. You are working in it.
Yeah, yes.
What is your experience about being a woman just working in the gaming industry?
I've had a very fortunate time, honestly. I am like very, very lucky. I work for a company called GameSite, and I'm one of the influencer managers, which means that games will need someone to make content, or if a game comes out. And my team, all women except for one person. There's one guy on our entire team. We're very inclusive. There is a lot of women representation.
I hope you're nice to that one dude, since
yeah,
he's the outlier here.
Yeah. No, he's part of the team for sure. But I'm very fortunate to work for a video game company, but also have just a crazy amount of women representation doing that, and you can see all of them love gaming, and we're all supportive of other like coworkers in various teams. It's just wild to me. I'm very lucky there.
So what other games do you guys play besides Magic that you also see that there is not enough female representation in?
There's games other than Magic?
I am so sorry.
No.
So
I play a lot of like
Only
single-player adventure games. So a lot of that is like, I'm just sitting alone in my room playing Zelda or something like that.
Yeah.
Pikmin, whatever other game, I don't know, Elden Ring. And it's like, these games, I'm sure there's streamers out there who are playing it. Hopefully there's a lot of gender diversity among them. I wouldn't know because I'm not watching other streamers play them, because I'm trying to play them.
It's true. Arena is a multiplayer game, right? So especially if you're streaming it, if you're playing multiplayer games, a lot of times our go-to games are solo games, so solo player games to just kind of de-stress after everyone says your go all day long. But I have played games like, I was very big into the League of Legends community and Overwatch, and those are also, I think any multiplayer game, especially when there's a competitive aspect for it, usually has a lower percentage of women in the representing
And there's a dark 10 years of my life also that is
League of Legends.
in League of Legends.
It's League of Legends. It's always League of Legends.
It's always League of Legends. It's so sad. It's so bad. Anyway, Volibear Jungle for life.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, lady. Sure.
Yeah, it's occasionally I will play other multiplayer games, other card games. Legends of Runeterra was one of my favorites. Unfortunately, it's kind of dying out. Speaking of League of Legends, that's kind of a tie-in game there.
Oh, wow.
But other games, I guess Overwatch I've played a good amount of. I also like real-time strategy games and turn-based strategy games, Civ games. Oh gosh, I've played a lot of Crusader Kings. And I've also liked sim games. I'll literally play any game if you put it in front of me.
There it is.
My favorite mechanic in video games is pick stuff up and put things in pocket. And the game that I've played the most hours of that is not Magic the Gathering or League of Legends is Ark Survival Evolved because I like dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. I was like, there's the dinosaurs. Tappy Toe Claus is shout out to her.
Shout out to Tappy. My favorite dinosaur, my favorite Spino, and also future host of a podcast with me.
Ooh,
something to look forward
spoilers.
to.
Look at that.
Interesting. Well, speaking of different games, Magic has had so many collaborations, I know, with D&D, and they are coming out next year with Final Fantasy. That's exciting. I'm very excited for that one personally. What would you guys like to see a collaboration with? What kind of cards in different games or anything you could think of? What would you like to see out there?
Zelda.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I'm a big Pokemon fan, but I know that's not going to happen.
They have their own
It's-
card.
I would love
It's
that.
not going to happen, but I can dream. They just had Fallout, which was, I'm a big Fallout fan, so I was excited for that. I'm trying to think that they've done a lot of collaborations recently, so the community has had a lot of options for, dragging people in, like Doctor Who, Transformers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done a better job.
Do you have a favorite, either one of you?
Lord of the Rings. 100%. The Lord of the Rings set is fantastic. It's just,
True.
it's a good set to play mechanically, and the flavor of it and the art of it were fantastic.
I like Baldur's Gate. This is just, I didn't know that I liked Baldur's Gate, and then I played Baldur's Gate, and then I liked Baldur's Gate. I don't know how many people went back into that set, or, we can see how the interest for picking up some of those cards
Hey,
came out.
Karlak's price spike.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody has a Karlak card, you should go wait in
Should
line
go.
and get it signed. Just saying, it's
Yep.
the best opportunity.
And Astrian. Astarion, yeah.
Yeah, he's here too, yeah.
Yeah, he's here too. So, but that was a really good set that I didn't know. Also, a really fun set. It's the mechanics of dice rolling is always just fun. I like the RNG of it.
I wish I knew how that set was in paper. I only played it in Arena where it was a completely different set.
Yeah.
And it was not as good.
Oh, well, there's a reason that I cosplayed as Delina Wild Mage, is because she's just a fun
Oh
card.
my god, that cosplay is so good. You had a giant die, right?
I had a giant, I made that cosplay for the first MagicCon Vegas, and if you know the card Delina Wild Mage, she rolls a dice to make a clone of herself, so I got this massive blow-up dice, and I wanted to roll dice in Vegas. I feel like that was very on par in theme.
That's awesome.
So I ran around just tossing it at people and having them roll it, and then they would get a prize if they get.
It's like the best cosplay prop, by the way.
It was really fun. I want to have, if I build a cosplay, I want to have fun with it. So there's a couple of them that I'm been thinking about, but I always want to encourage or incorporate a really fun aspect. I've been thinking about bubbles recently, so
Ooh,
we'll
like a
see.
bubble gun?
Like having it incorporated with a bubble. I know that there's the other wild mage.
Nira? I think Nira.
Nira Wild Mage, and she has the bubbles in that, and I feel like that would be really fun to just create a bubble machine in her wand.
Nice.
That would
Just
be
thinking about things, we'll see.
Well, what has your favorite cosplay been? You've done so many, and being an award-winning cosplayer,
Thank you.
number one favorite.
I think that the most fun I had was actually, it's not something that's actually in a card, but I did Nahiri, but I did a ice version of her, so she has like the normal brown leather and stuff like that, but I wanted to see if she can, if she was suddenly in an ice world, and it was like a theme with a bunch of other cosplay content creators, and I did that. In upstate New York, we had 42 inches of snow within 24 hours, and I made a throne of literal ice and snow, and I sat on it, and it was the coldest and coolest photo shoot that I've ever done, and it was such a fun time. So that one I think has a good memory.
How cold were you?
I was freezing. Because she doesn't have a lot of cloth either, so it was just my bare skin directly on the snow as I'm sitting on this
So like
road.
your skin is turning bluish white like a core.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
perfect.
she's perfect. Exactly, just like a core.
So you just fully suffered for your art,
yeah,
and it
for
was
the
worth
art.
it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. It was great, but it was a fun story. So that definitely is in the top, even though it's not an official card. But
Do you guys have any specific fun stories? Speaking of fun cosplay, any specific fun stories playing Magic or streaming that you would like to share? Yeah, I'm making you guys think.
I know. I have one. I was on the, if you know, EDH Rec has a show where they get guests to come and play EDH on spell tables. So spell table is through on your computer, you get a camera that faces down to watch you play, to play the cards, and you play it online again with people. I ended up casting Warp Worlds, and if you don't know that card, it shuffles everything together, and then everyone gets new cards. And doing that on spell table, they
It's
were like,
difficult.
"Kat, are you sure you want to play that?" And I was like, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do want to do that. I'm sorry for your show, but yes, I'm doing this." Just seeing their reactions was really funny, and that's probably going to live with me for the rest of my life.
I love Warp World so much. It's like
I
one
might
of
play
those
against you
super
later. Don't
fun
say that.
kind of
I think
decks.
I have it in the deck today. I know. We'll see. Play EDH with us later.
Yeah. As for like fun experiences, I don't know. I'm always having fun. I just enjoy playing games. So for me, it's always a good time. Occasionally, it's a less good time, but it's still a good time. It's just lower down on the scale.
Gotcha. Has there been any tournaments that were specifically fun or memorable for you?
Oh yeah, I once flopped out of a tournament in like 3 rounds, knew it was gonna happen, and then I just left the building. I went hiking.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's the best
That's a
tournament I
very
ever
Amy
went
thing.
to.
You do love hiking.
Yeah, it was very much a like, I don't really like this format, but I qualified for this tournament, so I'm gonna show up, and there's a national park like 2 miles from here. Bye.
Is that something that you like to do? You go places and you see where is a place I can hike?
Yeah.
Is that the normal thing? So if no one saw our social media, was it today?
It was yesterday
Yesterday.
morning.
Or yesterday morning.
I
How
went
did
like
you-
7 miles before the convention opened. It's great.
Before the convention opened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even like have anything planned. I just like started driving towards a place, saw a little trail on the side of a river, and was like, oh, that looks good. Found some parking, got on the trail. And by the way, fantastic experience. There was a guy in a Phillies hat who saw me wearing a Celtics hat and started yelling at me about the Celtics. I started yelling at him
Yeah.
about the Sixers, and then because it was a loop trail, he saw me again 40 minutes later and went right back to cursing at me, and I went right, and I'm like, oh, this is so perfect. This is the sports
Great.
experience that
Love
I
that.
like to have when I'm visiting cities.
Well,
Thank you, Phillies hat guy.
Yeah, well, welcome to Philadelphia, where go sports, go birds, go all those. We're a little aggressive.
City of brotherly love, yes.
Yes,
Love.
if you also love all the same sports. So I find that fascinating that that's just another one of your hobbies, where it's not just online and gaming. You don't hear as many people also taking the time to go outside and live in nature as well. I find that absolutely fascinating.
I call myself an everything enthusiast because I can genuinely be excited about anything.
What is the strangest thing that you are enthusiastic about?
I think to a lot of other people, it's probably mushroom foraging because
What?
it's like, I've always been somebody who's foraged. That's just something I grew up doing, which is always strange because I grew up in a city. But yeah, like I know where to get my take mushrooms in downtown Boston, and I will eat them, and I will serve them to other people, and they will question if I'm poisoning them, and I have to say, no, trust me, I have very good pattern recognition. I'm not trying to kill you.